D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I just finished the latest episode of House of the Dragon. And I just want to say that I enjoyed this show very much. It's not like the best show on the planet, but I think we've just gotten so much crap, so many crappy shows that we were just like, hey, we'll take a show that's like not like overwhelmingly great, and we'll be like, yeah, this is good. It's good. And this show is good. My apologies. I just needed to get some libation. Anyways, so this episode, I personally thought it was good. It wasn't as good as last episode because the last episode had a battle in it and everything. You know, you love the battles and stuff. But this one had a lot of political intrigue and everything. And then it also had some sexy time stuff and everything. Not as good as Game of Thrones, I think. I think they've pulled back on the salaciousness of the sexy time stuff because I think that enough burly women complained about it and everything from the LA Times. So they were just like, oh, we're gonna pull back and we're gonna do sexy stuff, but like the extras get to be topless and stuff, and that's when we get to see those titties and stuff. But I'm like, oh, come on. So this show, okay, so the book, and I read the book and everything, and I read the 5 books that Martin has put out, the Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones books. And it's a very different read compared to those books. It's very, and you might have heard this before from other people, but it's very different in the sense that it's a unreliable story, an unreliable narrator, because it's like from a maester that heard it from somebody who heard it from somebody kind of thing. And it's not the same. And so a friend equated it to reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy, if you've ever read those, and then reading the Silmarillion. And I was like, oh, that's a perfect example of it, because the Silmarillion is so different from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, because the Lord of the Rings trilogies are novels. This is just kind of like a, this happened, this happened, this happened, and you just kind of fill in the blanks yourself kind of thing. Now, I'm going to get into this episode and I'll try to explain some stuff, but some stuff, like I said, it's just so unreliable narrator that you're just like, okay, like especially one part specifically. And I might give away spoilers, but they might change it because, well, like I said before, they've added stuff in there that isn't like in the book, but like, it's up for interpretation. Like they have their own artistic expression, if you will. But I just want to say again, I did like this episode and I do like this show. I just, some stuff I'm just like, it's hard to figure out if that's what really happened, or if they just, like, for instance, and I'll give this last instance and then I'll get started on this breakdown because I've already talked too much. Geez, OP. For instance, when in the second episode, the one where the episode where Daemon gets kicked out of the kingdom, and he says, and he raises a toast and he's like, to what was the son's name that died? Oh, anyways, he's like, heir for a day. And then he got kicked out for that. In the book, they don't make it to where if he really said it or not. It's like, did he say it or not, or did he not say it? And in the show, I think that they like pretty much said that he said it, kind of thing. Or maybe that's up for your interpretation. I don't know. To me, it felt like that he did say it, and and they were saying, yeah, no, he said it, kind of. But now that I've said all that, I just want to say one thing and then I'll get started on this breakdown. But if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm. Small channels like mine, we just get shoved to the back of the line. So I please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. So now that I've gotten that nonsense out of my way, let's get it started, So it starts off with Rhaenyra, and she's being not courted, but not really. It's like a so you think you can dance, but with suitors. So they're all in front of her, and they're all giving their family's history and telling them how great they are and all this stuff. And I was like, this is awkward. Like this guy, he's telling her about his family and himself, kind of thing. And she's just like, okay, he's old, and she says something to him, I can't remember, but this guy's like, that was a little uncouth, princess. And she's all like, well, it's a little uncouth that he thinks he can get all of this. She's like, I am, I'm something they should see, I'm something to see, kind of thing. And then this boy pops up, and she's like, oh, now we're entertaining children, and he gives his little, he starts to give his little spiel and everything. And the princess, she thinks it's funny and everything. This guy is being a total dick. I think he's a Baratheon. I mean, he's wearing yellow and it looks like a black stag on there. So, I mean, yeah. And she thinks it's funny, whatever he says. And he's like, my family can offer you protection, comfort and protection. He's like, she has a dragon, you cunt. And I'm all like, man, dude, I just want to be like, hey, don't be a cock blocker. This kid's trying his best. He knows he's not going to get it. And you're just being a dick to him for no reason. But don't worry, he gets his comeuppance. So he goes away and he's like craven or coward. I can't remember which one he says. And this kid pulls a sword and he's like, oh, you're gonna pull a sword on me? I'm gonna pull a stick. Because I swear the little kid's sword is like this. And then this guy's sword is like this. I was like, oh, you came to a sword fight with a dagger, stupid. But he thought he could win. And then these two start fighting. And me personally, I'm all like, why are you guys like fighting with swords? But I mean, I guess that, was the time in this non-real place. I love when people are like, that's how it was back then. I'm like, you mean in a world that doesn't exist? Like, what? I know what they mean, but it's just funny. Anyways, so he stabs him, like straight up runs him through. And I'm like, you just killed that dude. And he falls over and I'm all like, oh man, I'm like, I bet that kid wishes he hadn't have done that. But at the same time, that guy, listen, you talk shit, you get hit, or in this case, stabbed. So she's sailing back and she's like, do you think he's going to be mad? And he's like, you ended a tour. They call it a tour, but it's just it's like a big slut walk. Like, hey, who wants to get with this, my daughter, kind of thing. And he's like, of course he's going to be mad. You ended it early and he set up all these suitors for you and you just scoffed it off like it was nothing. And she has a right to do that because she's like, I'm the heir. I don't want to just be put out like a piece of meat and like whichever dog is the prettiest gets me. Like, get out of here with that nonsense. But then they hear whatever this, I can't do the sound that the dragon makes. But anyway, so the dragon Caraxes comes over their ship. And look at that. I love the Red Keep. It's my favorite structure in all of Westeros. It's so beautiful. I love it. Okay. So Caraxes comes and she's like, Damien and everything. Or Daemon. Sorry, Damien. Daemon Targaryen's back. My uncle's back. My main squeeze. So the king is getting ready. And me personally, I'm just like, didn't they banish him? So why is he coming back? But whatever. So they prepare, they get all the lords and ladies. They're like, yo, put on your Sunday's finest and get in that freaking hall. So then Daemon walks in and he's wearing his crown. And he's like, oh, are you a king now? He's like, he gives him the hammer of the crab beater. He's like, oh, are you a king now? And he's like, they said I was king after I stop the triarchy. And I think he's the king of the stepstones, or I can't remember exactly what the title they gave him, but he's got his little crown, but he gives it to him. He's like, it's yours. The stepstones are yours. He's like, everything I've done, it's all yours and everything. And he's basically just wants to come home. And I'm like, I get that. And he goes and he takes his brother back and they all clap and everything. And I'm like, good. Because you know what? I have brothers and a sister. And let me tell you right now, I have never been so angry at them to where I'm just like, I never want to talk to you again. But I have been angry with them before. And, you stop talking for maybe like a week or a month. And then after that, you're just like, listen, well, if you're like me, I usually apologize just because I'm like, I don't want to fight with my siblings, but I'm just like, you were being a dick. So anyway, so they take him back. So the princess, she's noshing. And Otto, a lot of people don't like Otto because they think he's a big douche, but I'm all like, listen. And what happens to him at the end of this, he kind of deserves it, but at the same time, I'm all like, you guys, I'm like, You guys are not you guys aren't following along. It's fine though. I get it. I get it. So then she comes up and she comes up to this conversation. And when you come up to a conversation and you're just like, you're not wanted in that conversation and people giving you the look. Well, the princess ain't getting it right off the bat. So they're sitting here talking and the queen, uh, Queen Alice, Alicent, she suggests going to see these new tapestries. And he's like, yeah, I'm sure that's what he wants to do. He wants to see the new tapestries, my queen, my love. And he's all like, and the princess is all like, I would love to see them. And he's all like, well, why don't you go see them by yourself? Have fun. And she's all like, okay. But instead she goes and sits down. And the queen comes over. I just want to say that dress that the queen is wearing is freaking hideous. I'm like, who made that? And not a good seamstress, but whatever. Anyways, so she sits down and she says, I can't remember exactly what they say. I'm paraphrasing all of this because I didn't write it down. But she's like, you pissed your dad off. He set this whole thing up for you, and you couldn't even go through the whole thing, to find a dude to settle down with. And then she does tell her that she's happy that she's back because well, this takes because then she goes, I just feel like I'm a woman. My job is to push out babies. That's all it is, to push out an heir. And she kind of offends Alicent here, and I did feel bad for Alicent because Alicent, is still a young woman, and she's queen, and all she's there is to push out babies. Even like when her husband suggested the tapestries, he kind of scoffed her off, and I'm all like, it's like a painting. Like, listen, don't get me wrong, I'm not artsy fartsy kind of thing, like I'm not all into that stuff. But if somebody was like, hey, I bought some new paintings, I would go and look at them. I'd be like, yeah, let's go look at them. I want to see your new paintings you got. Let's do this, dude. But anyways, and then Alicent, she says, I am glad you're back. I don't have any friends. And I was like, oh my God, Alicent, I'm so sorry. I totally get that though. Listen, if you're married and you have kids, I get it. If you don't have friends, I get it. I get it 100% because you're like all the time dealing with your kids or you're trying to hang out with your spouse and everything. And I get it. It's hardcore. But they're in it together kind of thing. So then she goes to talk to Daemon, and he's sitting under the weirwood tree, and these two just were basically like, they're basically talking about again how she is just sitting here to be a birthing sack for some babies, and that's what she wants, more kind of thing. And I totally get that. I totally get it, but back then, that's what women did, and her and her father talk about this later on, and I'll address that when we get to it. But, back then, that's what women did. You were born, you got married, you had babies, and then you took care of those babies, and you took care of the house. And you didn't have to go out and go out. I mean, if you were poor, you had to go out to work the land too. But back then they didn't have the internet and stuff and modern technology. Anyways, so we go back here and they're sitting here talking about how Lord Valerian, Corlius, has his daughter is going to marry the ruler of one of the big cities in Essos. I can't remember what it is. At least I think it was, right? Issa, one of the, I can't remember. Excuse me. And they're like, this is bad. And they're basically saying we need to wrap up the Valorian family, because without them, shipping is bad. They won't have any shipping. They'll have shipping constraints like we do in the US right now, because we have ships off on the border or off on the shores just hanging out. That's how it'll be, but there won't be any ships. So they light these little helpers. They light these lanterns and they go throughout the castle. And she's taking care of her second child. I can't remember that one's name. I can't remember that one's name. It doesn't matter. We want to focus on her first son, Aegon. He's the one you want to focus on. So then she's all like, "Good night, Sir Cole." So Kristen Cole. And so she goes in and she finds a pile of clothes and a map. And I was like, ooh, what's going on here? So she finds a secret passageway in her room. And I'm just like, Rhaenyra, you didn't know about these secret passages, honey. Come on. So she dresses up like this boy, like a boy, and there's Daemon. And I was like, oh, Daemon, you're gonna get her in trouble. Because he did tell her before, he's like, there are things in this city that you can have a little fun too, princess. And also Alicent, she's like, we're just stuck in this castle for the rest of our lives. Which, I mean, the castle isn't too shabby. Come on. So they're walking the street. She gets called a boy. She's this scary woman. So like, I'll tell you your future. And I was like, I don't want you to talk to me, let alone tell me my future. And then the king is getting bathed, and the king has a lot more swords than I thought he did, and they're gross because he keeps stabbing himself on that throne. I'm like, King, what's going on here? Like, put down a blanket or something, like, or get some thicker fabric so you don't keep getting stabby stabbed. And she's like, let me do it. And she sends the servants away, and she starts cleaning. He's like, you've got a softer touch than most of them do. So they stop to see this play go on, and it's basically the story of her life. And she's all like, and they're all booing her as the next ruler of the crown of the throne, and they all want Daemon to do it. They want a man, and she's all like, oh, blasphemy and everything. So she's drinking a tea, because she wants to go to bed, and she runs the princess runs into this knight who she calls by name, and he recognizes her. He's like, have fun, princess, and everything. Then a servant comes and asks Alicent to come to the king's bedchamber for some sexy time. And she's like, ugh, I do not want to do this right now. She's like, did you see those sores? They were freaking gross. And I gotta put my hands around that. And then she's like, but it's late. And she's like, I know, ma'am, but I know, your majesty, but the king says, he's got a boner. Get on top of it. So then these two little devils, the devil's harlot, they go to a pleasure house, and I can't show any nudity in here. But here's the king. Look at those. Ew, gross. I totally get the look on her face. Like if I had that on top of me. I mean, Paddy Considine, he's not a bad looking dude. I'm not saying that, but like these sores right here, look at that. Oh, ew. Like what if you put your hand in it? Oh, I'd be like, I need some hand sanitizer. Gross. So then these two, he takes off her hat and lets her long locks flow. And they walk through, and they see all these people, and they recognize her as the princess, and they see like, a lot of people, different people's doing the hibbity dibbity, doing the hormone sandwich, if you get what I'm saying. Oh, and at one point he's like, is everything okay? And she's like, and I'm all like, if I was having sex with my wife and I looked down, I saw that face, I'd be all like, oh, this isn't fun for you. We can stop now. I'm not having fun if you're not having fun. So then he basically is all like, you can do whatever you want. You can have your own pleasures and everything. And they start making out. He's throwing her on the wall, pulling her pants down, pulling the panties to the side kind of thing. And she wants to do something with him. But I don't know why he didn't just jump on it, because that's what he wants. That's what he wants. He wants to take her. But I don't know why he didn't do this. And I can't remember this from the book, that he didn't just take her. But he didn't. He like walked away in frustration. I was like, yeah, I mean, maybe he couldn't get it up. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. He didn't follow through with the deed, if you get what I'm saying. So he leaves, and then the princess leaves, and this little kid right here follows her because he's a little spider, And the princess, she's just sitting in bed, because she's unhappy with her life. And or the queen, sorry. I get it. She's unhappy. I mean, what can you say? I mean, I don't know what to tell her. She's screwed, So then Princess Rhaenyra comes back to her bedroom, and Sir Cole is all like, what? What's going on? I just put you in your bedroom. Why are you coming back to me? And he goes, I'm going to call the guard or whatever. She's like, don't. And she takes his helmet, and he's like, give me back my helmet. And she's like, come in here. And then long story short, she seduces him because she's like, listen, you give me those come fuck me eyes for like ever. So let's do this. And she loses, from what I understand, her virginity, but I'm pretty sure it was his virginity too. Maybe it wasn't, because the last episode, He was kind of talking about how he was like a bad boy, and I was like, oh, maybe he like, did some whores and everything. So then long story short, they get down to business. And then this kid comes and tells Otto what he saw. So then the next morning, it doesn't matter. Daemon and this woman, I don't remember her name. Now, in the book, she does get pregnant, but she has a miscarriage, and she goes to one of the Essos cities. I can't remember. From what I remember, and don't quote me on any of this because I can't remember exactly. But she does have a miscarriage from his baby. So I'm like, but this one he talks about how something about she talks about how she's protecting him or something, and then she leaves, and then Otto goes to the king, and he's like, it's really early, dude, and he's like, yeah, but I need to tell you this. I need to tell you this now because it's really concerning, my king, my liege. And he's all like, your daughter was spotted in a whorehouse with Daemon, and the rumor is that they fucked. And he's all like, this is a lie. And he's like, sir, he's like, it was witnessed by more than one person that they were doing the hormone sandwich. And he's all like, who said this? I'll have them gutted. And he's all like, I would not tell you I'm not going to give up one of my sources, your majesty. And the queen overhears all of this. And Rhaenyra is getting ready, and Sir Cole, I didn't get a snapshot of it, but Sir Cole comes in, and she's like, come in, like, hey, let's talk about losing our V cards to each other. Was it so magical? And I love you. And I just want to say, so in the book, and they've obviously, fermented it, but in the book, it's unclear whether or not that these two smashed or not, because the rumor is that she slept with him, but Mushroom makes it seem like that they did sleep with each other. But then there's a Septon that makes it seem like she tried to sleep with him, but then he like rebuffs her, and then he's mad at her the whole time that she tried to get him to disown his vows, if that's the right word. To disobey his vows of celibacy as a king's guard kind of thing. So there was a conflicting thing in the book, and then this is obviously, they were just like, no, it's confirmed. They smashed. So he's like, the queen wants to talk to you. So she goes to see the queen, and the queen's all like, is it true? Listen, did you smash with your uncle? Gross. And she's all like, no. She's like, I did not smash with him. Yes, we went out of the castle. Yes, we did get drunk. Yes, we did go to a whorehouse. Yes, he did abandon me for the devil's harlot, and then I came home. Now, granted, they were getting a little frisky, and they did, suck face a little bit, but she's telling the truth. They did not smash. And then she's all like, she believes her. And she's all like, how could you put yourself in that? Just the rumor of it is bad enough. So then the prince comes back to the castle, and he gets dragged into the throne room. And he's all like, is it true? Did you smash my daughter, your niece? And he kicks him, and he's like, what does it matter if I did or didn't? He's like, you don't believe me anyways, or the rumor's out there or whatever. And he's all like, let me have her. Let me marry her. He's like, that's all you want. That's all you want is the throne. And he's like, get out of my castle. Get out of my kingdom. Get out of my country. You go back to your hood, your little hewers. Then he's just sitting there. And then, so the king and the queen are talking, and she's like, listen, your daughter told me that she didn't smash her uncle, and I believe her. And it's because it's the truth. We know it, but they don't know it. And so he sits down with his daughter, and she's nervous because she's all like, oh, what's going to happen? Because nobody knows about her and Sir Cole, which is good. This is a good thing that nobody knows about her and Sir Cole. But they go in, And he shows her the knife. This is the cat's tail, I think it's called. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's got the rumor mill and the Song of Ice and Fire. Basically, like, a prince will be born of Valyrian blood that will stop the winter, and it's the Song of Ice and Fire. And he's like, "This is what I'm handing down to you." And he's all like, she's like, I didn't sleep with him. And he's like, "It doesn't matter." He's like, "Just the rumor of it ruins everything." And she's like, "If I was born a man, this would not, I could father as many bastards as I wanted. I could take 2 wives. No one would question this." And he's like, "You're right, but you weren't born a man. You were born a woman, and there's expectations." He's like, "You will marry Sir, gosh, what's his face? Laenor, the Valerian kid. Gosh, I can't remember his name. It starts with an L. Which I need to. It starts with an L. Anyways, but he's like, "You will marry him without question." And she's like, "Fine." She's like, "Listen, I will marry him, but you are the king and you have duties too. Otto Hightower is only in this for himself. He doesn't care about the kingdom." And he's all like, she's like, "If I'm going to follow my duties as princess, you're going to follow your duties as king. And you know what you need to do. You know what to do." So then he brings in Otto Hightower, and he basically is like, he talks about how he's like, "My father, 5 days. That's all it took for my dad to die. He went on a hunt, and then his stomach burst," which I'm all like, what does that mean? Like he had an ulcer? I'm not quite sure what they mean by this. Like gout, like what do they call tuberculosis back in the day? Like the drink or something like, I can't remember. Like the black lung. I don't remember what they called it, but like tuberculosis, they called it something else. I don't remember. They called it something else. And didn't they call gout something else? I don't remember, but they never called it what it is called today. And he's basically like, he says, your goals or whatever, your aspirations are no longer in line with the kingdom, and I can't trust you. So you're not hand of the king anymore. You're fired. You're fired. So then we get this maester, the head maester, and he's bringing this little vial here. And he comes into hers. He's like, "If it's not brewed properly, it can be dangerous for your health." And she's like, "What is it?" And he's like, "Your father had me make it. It's whatever you did. It will, it's plan B, but in a bottle. It's plan B in a bottle. It's not in pill form. It's in a bottle." Because that overall, he is hedging his bets, and I feel like he didn't believe her. And I'm like, that's sad. I understand that kids lie. I have 2 kids. My kid, you want to believe him, but at the same time, I'm all like, this is a big deal. Like if she says she didn't smash her uncle, I'd be like, all right, fine. But he's like, "I don't think anybody else is going to believe you. So we need to wrap this up. You need to marry somebody." And the dude she's marrying, the Valerian kid, he's gay. So I'm all like, hey, that's like a match made in heaven for her, because she doesn't have to smash him. All she's got to do is have some, she has to have black babies. Like that's the thing, because they're black. So it would be awkward if she didn't have a black baby. But whatever. Yeah. And then that's where the episode, her looking at that little plan B vial. And it was, like I said before, it was good. It was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I enjoy the political stuff of it. I always have, and I do enjoy the action sequences and the battles. Those are fun too. But the political intrigue is all very interesting to me. And I've always enjoyed that portion of the program when it comes to Game of Thrones, because and Cersei said it the best in Game of Thrones, because Littlefinger was all like, knowledge is power. And she was all like, "Guards, kill him." And he's like, wait. And she's like, "Knowledge isn't power. Power is power. And I can have you killed whenever I want." And I'm like, oh, that's so good. It's so good. It's so delicious. But the politics of it all is also helpful. So that is my breakdown of this episode. Like I said, I personally enjoyed it. I thought it was good. But if you didn't like it, I get it. Maybe, I don't know. Where does this rank in your as far as episodes go? All right, you guys, that's all I'm going to talk about this episode. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Who's your favorite character in this show? And who are you rooting for to sit on that Iron Throne? Are you still rooting for Rhaenyra? Tell me what you guys think. Renera. Tell me what you guys think. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on my next House of the Dragon breakdown and review. You guys have a good week. Bye.